Welcome to the University of North Dakota's 2020 Spring Commencement Ceremony for the UND School of Law. 8 times a year, the university conducts commencement ceremonies to celebrate the success of our students. Thank you for participating in today's ceremony. This virtual ceremony is being conducted online. It contains all the elements of a regular in-person ceremony. In addition, to honor each individual student, each graduate has a personalized graphic tile that's searchable below. We encourage you to find you or your student's tile at the end of this video and share it on social media with the hashtag UNDProud. Thank you for your resilience, and congratulations, class of 2020.
Warm greetings to all of you. I am Michael McGinnis, Dean of the University of North Dakota School of Law. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to our virtual commencement ceremony for the graduates of the class of 2020. We are so excited to celebrate your achievements and so glad that you could join us today online. I truly wish that I could congratulate each of you in person and shake your hand as you walk across the stage. But the physical distancing that we've been experiencing in our UND Law community does not diminish in any way the tremendous pride that I, as your dean, and our entire faculty and staff are feeling for our graduates in this class. You have persevered not only through the hard work and diligent study necessary for success in your first 2 years of law school, but now you have overcome these challenging circumstances and hurdles that arose in your final year. As you persisted throughout your legal education at UND Law, you were supported by our faculty, our staff, and your fellow students. Your family members and friends have encouraged you and have given you words of support when you needed them. This is your day to celebrate with all the people who helped you to achieve this milestone. I urge you to find time today to thank those special people for being a part of your journey. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the chair of the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education. Nick Hacker is the CEO of Guarantee and Title Company. He is a 2005 graduate of UND and served in the North Dakota Senate. Here is Mr. Hacker.
On behalf of the State Board of Higher Education, let me congratulate you on your educational achievements. One of the high points of each semester are these events that serve as milestones of your success. As chair of the State Board, I can attest that each member takes our responsibility seriously in setting the direction of the university system, because we're doing it for you, the student, and your success. It's with great pride that we hold these commencement ceremonies, where we celebrate together your hard work and dedication. Having lived and worked in North Dakota for many years, I've been able to watch as our colleges and universities adapt to ongoing change. Throughout changing times, we continue to have pride in the accomplishments made by the leadership, faculty, and staff, because we know their dedication brings student success. No matter what your educational goals, whether you're transitioning directly into your career or using this degree as a stepping stone to further your education, we are confident that you'll do well because you've proven you can work hard, think critically, and show up. As Woody Allen puts it, 80% of success is showing up. Whatever your next step, you're moving on from a big phase of your life to meet new challenges and opportunities. Thank you for placing your trust in this institution. We applaud your accomplishments, and we are confident that the education you've received will give you a competitive edge in your career and life. Your readiness to take personal responsibility of your future has led to this success. 2020 University of North Dakota graduating class of Fighting Hawks. You've made it. You've shown up and you are prepared to meet the challenges ahead while already finding ways to give back to your campus and community. For that, North Dakota thanks you. You should be extremely proud of every step it took to reach today and every step you take hereafter. Congratulations and job well done.
Thank you, Mr. Hacker. It is now my pleasure to introduce our honored speaker for this virtual commencement ceremony, the Honorable Heidi Heitkamp, who served as the first female United States Senator elected for North Dakota from 2013 to 2019. Senator Heitkamp previously served as North Dakota's Attorney General, and prior to that post, as the state's tax commissioner. She's a proud graduate of the University of North Dakota, where she received a BA in philosophy, history, and political science in 1977, and she received an honorary Doctor of Letters degree from UND in 2019. In addition, she earned a JD at Lewis and Clark Law School in 1980. Senator Heitkamp serves on numerous boards, including the McCain Institute, Howard Buffett Foundation, and the Renewed Democracy Initiative. She is the founder and chair of the One Country Project, an organization focused on addressing the needs and concerns of rural America. She is a senior fellow in international and public affairs at Brown University and serves as a contributor to both CNBC and ABC News. When we asked the class of 2020 why they had selected Senator Heitkamp to be invited to address them at graduation, in addition to noting her many tremendous accomplishments, they insightfully said that she would, quote, bring a fresh perspective of servant leadership and holding firm on values in the face of obstacles, end quote. I am now very privileged to welcome to the podium of our virtual law school commencement ceremony for the class of 2020, the Honorable Heidi Heitkamp.
Congratulations, class of 2020, UND's law school class. And I have to first say, even though this isn't optimal, I am so fortunate that I still get a chance to congratulate all of you, to say great things about your friends and family who are watching with you, and to talk about the importance of the work that's ahead of you. You know, I've been so blessed in my occupation, having incredible opportunities to work for the people of the state of North Dakota, to work for the people of this country, but I have always been a proud lawyer. I have always been someone who believes that that law school education that I received prepared me like no other education for the challenges of the work ahead. And so I know you're all sitting there, and if all you dads and moms out there were like mine, you know, my dad was a seasonal construction worker and my mom was a school cook. And they never thought their daughter, and never mind their son, would ever be a lawyer or get the opportunities that we had to get a great education. Mine started at the University of North Dakota. But I remember when I graduated from law school, I expected my dad to give me a big pat on the back. And he did not do that. He said, don't you have to take this test? Don't you have some like next step? And I had to admit that, yes, the bar exam was looming. And he eventually ran a rural water system. He was one of the first people to actually have a phone in his car back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I remember when I called him after Lou Dunn, the fabulous Lou Dunn, who was the clerk of the court at the time, called me to tell me that I passed the North Dakota bar exam. And it left him speechless because he put no more hurdles in my way. He just had to finally say congratulations. And so I know that a lot of you are thinking about that bar exam, especially in these challenging times. And before you run off for that bar review, before you drag out those books, take a moment to celebrate what you've accomplished so far. Take a moment to say thank you to all those friends and family who have been so instrumental in your life and moving you forward, who have given you the values of hard work and the values of honesty that make a difference in your life. And then I'm going to offer you a little bit of advice, kind of post-bar exam. First off, there's a reason why the United States and why in the United States and in North Dakota, you're required to take an oath of office that makes you an officer of the court. The frontline defenders of our great democracy and our great Constitution are lawyers. And you should never forget that. And how you acquit yourself in that role is incredibly significant. We're in very challenging times. A lot of us believe that the democracy can't survive without good people speaking for the rule of law. And so that's something that you have an obligation to do. Never forget that obligation. And I always like to remind graduates of wonderful words that Robert Kennedy spoke many, many years ago to a graduating class in California. He said, remember this, you are the most privileged people to ever walk the face of the earth. You have been given unlimited and enormous opportunity. But with that opportunity comes choices. And the choice is yours, whether you will use your opportunities for the benefit of just yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are going to use those to advance the interest of mankind. And so he closed with these words. He said, "But remember this, history will judge you. And more importantly, as time goes on, you will judge yourself." And so remember that it's bigger than you are. It's bigger than a law practice. This obligation that we take on as lawyers is an enormous responsibility to the Constitution and to the future generations that we hope will enjoy the freedoms that we enjoyed. The second thing I want to tell you is be careful who you surround yourself with. I've been enormously blessed to be with incredible lawyers throughout my entire career. When I was tax commissioner, I took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, the Quill case. Didn't get the result that I wanted, but learned a whole lot and worked with a man now who has argued 50 times in the US Supreme Court. One of the best lawyers I've ever known. Worked with Lori Loveland, who was a North Dakota resident who wrote an incredible brief, and we came really close. And guess what happened? Just a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, the Supreme Court reversed that decision. And so I tell you this because you may be given an opportunity to do something as big as going to the Supreme Court. And that was an amazing experience for me. But the one thing that is a lesson, I think, for all of you from my experience is you don't give up. If you think that justice is best served by your position, you don't say, well, I lost that one in court. You come back at it, and you come back at it, and you come back at it. And eventually justice will prevail. The arc of justice bends slowly, but it bends, the arc of the universe bends slowly, but it always bends towards justice. And so never give up your dream of doing the right thing. Yesterday, I had a chance to sit down with old colleagues of mine as we reminisced about the fact that over 22 years ago, we signed the largest civil settlement in the history of the country, the tobacco settlement. And we were all together because the tobacco lawyer, the chief negotiator for the tobacco company is actually recovering from a very, very serious bout and illness as a result of COVID-19. But it gave us a chance to talk about that time in our lives when we together collaborated. We put ego aside and said, it's not important who gets the credit for this. What is important is that we tackle this serious public health concern and that we work together. And one of the lawyers who is now working on the opioid civil litigation spent a lot of time talking about how different those times were. And so I thought, as young lawyers, you all need to know that you don't do this alone. You have clerks in your office, you have judges who have to read your briefs, and you have to help prepare them to understand this. You have an obligation to put your ego aside and represent your clients and hopefully do good in that process. And finally, I would like to tell you that even though it's very morbid, especially at this time when we're all social distancing and isolating, it's really important that you think not just about where your professional career heads, but how do you want to be remembered? And I know it sounds very morbid, but there's an exercise that a friend of mine does, and he tells people, write your obituary. And so write your eulogy. And what do you want that eulogy to say? And you probably want it to say that you were a great lawyer and a great officer of the court. But you also may want it to say, you could take his word to the bank. You know, her handshake was her commitment. It's not always easy in the profession that we have, to be honest. And so think about honesty. Think about generosity of spirit. What are you doing to advance the interest of your profession, but also the interest of your community? and the people who surround you in your neighborhood. You are expected to be a leader. By securing this professional accomplishment, people will look to you to be a leader. Be that leader in those tough times. Be generous with what you have, and be generous with your time. Donate your time. Do pro bono work. Do the things that make us proud to be in the profession that we're in. And finally, I would say, be grateful. We live in the most amazing country in the history of the world. We've been given an opportunity to practice law in a country that believes in the rule of law above all else as a founding principle. That doesn't happen in almost any other country. Be grateful. Be grateful for all those friends and family who are watching this with you, who, whether they're socially distancing or whether they're upstairs in a upstairs bedroom, wherever you all are, understand that we have so much to be grateful for. And today, your gratitude is probably brimming over for all the help and assistance that you receive, and all of the commitment that your friends and family have made to your career. And so, in closing, I would like to tell you that I'm really sorry I can't be there in person. I think I look better in person than on camera. But I also am so grateful that I was given an opportunity, first at UND and then at my law school, to learn the skills that enabled me to do the work that I wanted to do. And so as you're writing your eulogy tonight, think about the work that you wanted. Think about what excites you, what makes you enthusiastic to get up in the morning, what you have passion for. Because you can have all the skills and you can have all the knowledge in the history of the world, but without passion and enthusiasm, you'll never be good at what you do. And so be passionate about the law, be passionate about your family, then be passionate about this great country that we live in. And so thank you so much for letting me share a little bit of time with you. I want to kick this over to a guy I just called Josh, or Dr. Wynn. You probably call him President. And again, you are so lucky to be led by someone of his caliber, especially in these difficult times. And so, Josh, thanks so much for letting me be part of this ceremony, and we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Senator Heitkamp. In the commencement address I gave in December last year, I spoke to our University of North Dakota graduates about how future events might affect their lives and why their education equipped them to face the challenges ahead. Little did I know, a mere 3 months later, the COVID-19 pandemic would create a worldwide healthcare crisis and a level of uncertainty about the future that nobody could have predicted. As soon-to-be graduates of the UND School of Law, you are aware this pandemic has had and will continue to have an impact on the legal profession. A recent column in the National Law Review forecast that in the short term, the need to hire attorneys is diminished because of fewer proceedings and cases in the courtroom. However, over the long term in the post-COVID-19 world, lawyers will be in high demand as new companies evolve and emerge. Law firms that use this time to reassess and strategize will be better positioned for the opportunities ahead. Of course, this is not what I or any of you expected as we went into 2020. Law school graduation should be about celebrating and recognizing your achievements and accomplishments. You earned it. You deserve it. Springtime at UND normally is about experience joyous times with family members and friends you've made here. Unfortunately, the coronavirus issue has not only forced the university to cancel commencement, but has potentially put your plans, your dreams, and your future on hold. Right now, it's easy to be overwhelmed by the turmoil caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of you probably have parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents who belong to what's now called America's greatest generation. They lived through the Dust Bowl years and the Great Depression of the 1930s. Then, as young men and women, they were confronted by World War II in the 1940s. They not only created the arsenal of democracy that turned the tide of the war, but they also went across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to defeat tyranny. They came back and helped turn the United States into an economic superpower and the leader of the free world. Members of the greatest generation weren't born knowing the hand they'd be dealt or the struggles they would encounter. They didn't know that one day their generation would be heralded for rising to the challenge of overcoming tremendous adversity. They did what they had to do, displaying a level of resilience, resourcefulness, and character that's come to define their generation. There's an old saying that time heals all wounds. Perhaps many of you are feeling a sense of anguish at having been wounded by events beyond our control because of the COVID-19 outbreak. There's a sense of loss, a sense of uncertainty. We don't know the full consequences of this pandemic, nor do we know exactly when it will end. Time alone won't heal the wounds of derailed plans, severe economic disruption, financial hardship, and the emotional scars that so often accompany prolonged periods of stressful living. What matters most is how we make use of the time after the coronavirus pandemic is finally over. As graduates of the University of North Dakota School of Law, class of 2020, you are unique. You will be the ones to determine how your generation is defined by these recent events. You will have the opportunity to gain the insight needed to benefit from the lessons learned. You will discover that your ability to cope with the unanticipated challenges and the unexpected roadblocks life throws your way is far greater than you ever imagined. Your education, your creativity, and your ingenuity will lead to solutions not yet envisioned. I strongly believe your graduating class will be remembered for how it responded to the coronavirus outbreak of 2020 because our university, your university, produces exceptional leaders in so many fields. It is your time to display the resilience, resourcefulness, and character that has instilled greatness on other generations before you. It is your time to make a difference. Thank you for your patience and the strength that you've shown as we've tackled this unprecedented challenge together. The next segment of today's ceremony involves the conferring of degrees. As candidates, you have completed all the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. At the end of this video, you may search your name and hear our announcer officially recognize your degree. Congratulations to all of you. Dean McGinnis will now make a few closing remarks.
Thank you, President Wynn. These first several months of 2020 have been terribly hard and trying ones. The extraordinary challenges to the North Dakota legal profession and the UND School of Law stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic have tested our wits, our wisdom, and our wills in ways that we could never have expected when the year began. Amidst these struggles, however, I've also witnessed tremendous strength of spirit and common cause among our School of Law students, staff, and faculty, including the members of our class of 2020. I had the privilege as a member of our faculty in teaching you, some in several courses, while you were with us at UND Law, and I'm exceedingly proud of you. I have great confidence that as you carry forward with your professional careers, you will continue to courageously face the challenges before you. And I ask you to reach back to us as you venture forward so that we can continue to encourage and help you on your path. As our virtual commencement ceremony now draws to a conclusion, we will now enjoy together a performance especially for you, the newest alumni of the UND School of Law of the University of North Dakota, alma mater. Thank you for participating in our virtual commencement ceremony for the UND School of Law. Once again, congratulations, and I wish all the best to you and your families for flourishing in your personal lives and in your professional futures.